Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 362. I'm Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, and hopefully we're going to get a little bit of feedback here to see and hear that everything's working. And I'm joined by Nate Heinold. And Nate, how are we doing tonight?
This is John. I'm Johnny V.
Oh, yes. I don't.
That's why I'm smiling.
You're younger Johnny V.
Okay.
Better looking?
Better looking.
All right. If we could, we'd love to get a quick audio test from everybody. We actually had a whole bunch of things going on, and sorry we got started a little bit late here tonight. Of course, I went through like 9 different setups to try and get this up and running. So hopefully you guys can hear us out there. We're seeing a few things come in on the chat. Audio is good. And if that's the case, we're just going to power through this. Kind of like this week, Nate.
Yeah, I'm literally falling asleep as we're talking because I am tired, but I'm good.
Okay, so let's get to some basics. We're also going to, of course, check in with Ricky Wysocki, who's our champion from last weekend. He's hanging out as well. But Nate, because I know you have a million things to do, of course, let's get to a few of the numbers for the tournament this weekend. You're pushing almost 2,000 people that will be here. And are we talking about the largest disc golf tournament of all time?
It is, yeah. Doug from Dynamic congratulated me several weeks ago, and Doug's a great guy. Kind of reluctantly saying, great job. And so, yeah, we're at like 1,970 players. We are super excited. We have 12 courses. We're trying to raise a record amount for charity. 2 new courses this year. Lots of spectators. We expect huge crowds at Eureka and Sunset as well. And so we're super excited for 2,000 disc golfers.
Well, let's dig into a few of the weeds there. Let's start with Eureka. People can come out and spectate. There's VIP passes. Are there places they can or can't go? Give us some of the ground rules there, because I think a lot of people are wondering what they can and can't see.
So MPO will play Eureka on Thursday and Sunday. No restrictions for capacity limits or spectating areas. You can buy a VIP pass or a parking pass for the week. There's a wait list though for those, so you have to do the daily pass to get in on Thursday and Sunday for Eureka, but there are no restrictions in terms of spectating areas.
Yeah, and there's a lot of space out there, but you probably thought of additional parking.
Oh, yeah.
Is there going to have to be a shuttle from like downtown Peoria?
We've already talked to the middle school. We have their parking lot for backup. We have a couple other lots. So we do expect probably a record crowd for Eureka, comparable to 2019 Pro Worlds when Tricky, Ricky, and Paul battled it out, and Ricky almost threw it on the last hole. We had 2,100 people in the park that day. We expect close to that at Eureka on Sunday. For Sunset, once again, no restrictions there. FPO will play that course Friday and Saturday. VIP pass holders and weekly pass holders can get in, no problem. You can buy a day pass as well, no problem. Northwood is where there are restrictions at.
And that was going to be my next question is, obviously, the fairways, things have gotten tighter out there. There's additional holes out there. 13 out of the 18 holes essentially are new on the black course. Is that a good way to put it, or not necessarily?
For the front 9 is brand new. And sorry, I got distracted by the person saying, "Where is Nate's mom and cookies?" And
yeah, well, that's a legit question.
Super offensive.
That's a legitimate question. I'm wondering the same. Molly, I know you're out there. I know you're watching. Please stop on by and bring some cookies.
I'm trying not to eat sweets this week or Deglow week or
Good
last
for you.
week. So
I am trying to eat sweets.
I know. We've been bringing him up. So whenever Terry comes for a late night box run, we have something for him. But with Northwood, we actually have, I'm trying to count. I think there are actually 12 new holes and 6 existing holes, I believe. Okay. So that, wow, math is hard. Sorry, it is 5. So
5.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
5 existing holes. The fairways are incredibly, wide for a wooded course, but still not great viewing areas in terms of the rough. So you can't put a bunch of people in the rough because they're going to have thorns up their legs and, all kinds of fun stuff. And so Northwood, you have to have a VIP pass or a parking pass to spectate. Those have actually been sold out for months, unfortunately. So if you want to watch Northwood Black and see people, shred that course, you're going to have to do it on the Disc Golf Network.
And what we're seeing for there is that for the first time in a few years now, we're seeing the FPOs move away from Sunset. We were just talking about a few of the details. They're going to be playing 2 rounds at Sunset instead of 4, and they're going to be playing 2 rounds at off the short tees at the Northwood Black Course. Is that a good?
That is correct. They've asked for that the last several years, enough of them to say, hey, put us on Northwood again. And so we're doing that. One more note, AM players do get free spectating at Eureka and Sunset. And so if you're an AM player in this event, and there are 1,675 of them or more, they do get free spectating.
And then quickly, let's jump into some of the details on the AM side. Like you just said, nearly 1,700 players, an insane player pack. Somehow you keep doing that every year. There's a few special, unique items in there. What can you share of those items right now?
Yeah, I mean, we have the special grip bag that I've been asked about 1,000 times just behind me over there. Oh, but we can't show it, obviously.
Yeah.
So
when he leaves.
So that's true. I am going to leave. So the player pack is, I mean, massive. You either get a grip bag or a Zuka cart and 4 discs and a hoodie and a shirt and a Zamfell, a tube and a Grip 6 belt, a hat. I mean, I've lost count. There are more items in there. And so it's a $500 player pack with a massive payout. So that's, I'm not sure how we could top that. I'm working on like a scooter next year or something, but I mean, I don't know what I could do better than a Zuka cart or a bag. You get to choose. So,
and did everyone pre-select, or how did that work?
Yeah. So basically it involved a lot of planning in terms of, I had to actually make these purchases, last November, and registration opened in February. So I had to do a lot of advanced planning. So we timed it well. They literally they arrived within the last 10 days, even though they were scheduled to arrive months ago. So the shipping crisis was very evident here, because we were very nervous, especially about the second shipment. So, but they are here and all accounted for.
Now, how many people, this will probably be one of my favorite questions, is how many people will have claimed they wanted the cart, but actually now want the bag, or vice versa? I'm sure they have a receipt somewhere.
Yeah, we have a list that we will check twice, and we'll find out if they're being naughty or nice when they try to tell us they said something else or they emailed us. But no, I think you'll have plenty of those people, and we do have enough quantity to allow a few people to change if I'm feeling it. Like if I feel like doing it.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
I mean, we're going to stick to the list. But honestly, both of the bag and the cart are custom. If you selected the cart, you wanted the cart, and my guess is you may have taken the bag last year, so maybe you don't want 2 bags. But it is a new bag model, to be honest. So it is not a BX2 bag. So it is BX something else.
There's too many numbers and digits for me to remember. Yeah. Any other extracurriculars are going on. We had things like a 10,001 hole-in-one contest that takes place tomorrow. We'll be doing that, some celebrity skins and matches and other things. What else do we have? Did I hear ice cream social?
Yeah, there's back-to-back ice cream socials, Wednesday and Thursday night. Thursday night with good old Grandma Nana's ice cream. It's very good at Eureka. We're going to have a band play Thursday night. We have Play with the Champs exhibition tomorrow night with our preserve champion, Ricky Wysocki, Nate Sexton, Missy Gannon, and Paul Ulibarri, who is contractually required to play because I sponsor him. So, and we have a $10,000 hole-one contest. We have more flexi tiers. We have glow disc golf. We have 2 player dinners, 2 fly marts. We have the dunk tank with me, but I'm not sure why people want to dunk me. I'm going to make Terry do it because he's on staff. Maybe Macbeth, even though he'll never do it. And so we have a magic show. We have all kinds. I mean, seriously, the event schedule is hard for me to even fathom because I have to send staff there, and there's people, and we have clinics. We have clinics tomorrow. We have all kinds of fun. Ledgestoneopen.com. They can find all of the deets.
Yeah. And also there's going to be, for the first time, you're going to have a disc dyeing academy.
Yes.
That's something we saw over at the GBO. They did a great job. It was very well received. You guys putting your own spin on it, so to speak. So that should be a lot of fun. And you like what I did there?
Spin.
There's just so much stuff going on here. It almost gets a little bit exhausting thinking about, well, one thing is done and you're trying to move on to the next thing because you have so many options here. How many staff members, roughly? There's staff members, there's volunteers, most of which are paid in an incredible effort that they're putting out there. But how many total people help run the overall ship?
350, 74 paid staff members, and over 250 volunteers who we, do give lots of, swag and discs and shirts and food and all of the above. And so it really is a small city that, runs this tournament. And so my staff is incredible. They work long hours and, I'm basically in my office half the day typing, and they're the ones out carrying the boxes and painting the lines. And then I run out and scribble off the paint and say, make that paint better. So, so I'm just the guy that kind of tells them what to do. And I appreciate the guy for saying Heinold looks like a 17-year-old laugh out loud. So sweet. So I like that.
That's why you can't pay attention.
I look,
especially Disc Blaster. He's the biggest troll we have.
I like it.
He loves to be a jerk. And I tell him every single week, he's like one jerkish comment away from just getting banned. I've banned him from my channel. So.
Well, there you go. The one thing I would say about the tournament that's been the maybe the most exciting thing is the opening of the Northwood Black course that we'll get to showcase this weekend for both divisions. So we are incredibly excited about letting the pros see something we've been working on for the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a labor of love. And just to put it out there as well, you've been part of it, and of course adding input and trying to dial it in, but that's actually not you as the sole designer. There's it feels like a committee, but there's really a lead designer.
Yeah, really. I mean, the architect behind this, his name's Kip Taufer. He when we got the world's bid, I pitched the idea to him and Greg Nettles about this gold course. And I remember, I said, hey, I want to combine this hole. I want to do this hole. And we got to the end and it was like, we had 13 holes. And I said, yeah, by the way, I don't have time for it, but we should put 5 holes out in the woods. And I love a par 5 and I'd never seen the land, and they made it happen. And so when that happened, when it was successful, we worked on the black course before Worlds even, happened. We were working on those holes, and it's taken an incredible amount of time to get to this point.
Well, and some of the challenges, we see that it's going to test every single skill of our top players. It's also going to test things like cellular signal. It's going to test just overall longevity of the day. We're expecting some long days, some long rounds, and then possibly some challenges on the cellular side. So I guess I'm just kind of putting that out there now. How do you balance that? How do you say, hey, I want a tough course that's going to be appropriate for the top players in the world, but they don't want to be out there playing for 7 hours?
I don't think we're going to have 7-hour rounds, but we're going to be pushing, 4.5, 4:45. But one of the things that slows any disc golf tournament down is looking for discs, not having spotters. And we will have a lot of spotters out there, and a lot of, water and Gatorade, and, we'll have a lot of people helping. We've weed whacked, and mowed and trimmed that course to the ground basically. And so, yeah, there'll be long rounds, but last year the minimum rating was 935 and now it's 970. And so cutting out some of the bottom feeders like me, even though I'm just above that actually, but cutting out people like me will, quicken things up, because most of our top pros, putt quickly and play fast. So.
All right. Is there anything that I'm not asking you that you want to make sure we share with the world before we cut you loose so you can get back to work? Yeah. How's weather looking this weekend?
It's
so far so good.
So far so good. It will be hotter this weekend than it was during the early parts of the week, which is fine.
But so far we've been actually pretty blessed. Last couple of days that I've been here, sunshine, moderate temperatures in the 80s, everything. There was a light breeze today. Everything seems to be pretty good. If it heats up just a little bit, it won't be too bad, but wear some sunscreen. And if you're out at Eureka, bring an umbrella for the sun.
Yeah.
It's not a bad problem.
And I think the other thing is that we're releasing obviously a lot of special discs at our pro shop to benefit, St. Jude. And we have, some discs to benefit Paul's Foundation, Paul Macbeth. We have a lot of stuff online at shop.lisopen.com. So we are trying to raise a record amount of money for charity this year, besting what was raised several years ago for the St. Jude Charity Invitational in California. So we are trying to raise a lot of money for several good causes.
Yeah, and I know that's a pretty lofty goal. That was 6 figures a few years ago. And over the last number of years where you've partnered up with the local St. Jude chapter, you just a few years ago gave $50,000 in a single check. And what does that bring your total to?
We gave 60,000 last year, and our total is 182, and we may hit that this year, to be honest. So,
Wow.
so we are trying to raise, as I said, a lot of money for some really good causes.
All right. Well, one guy that's going to be coming after some of the money that's raised within the purse, Ricky Wysocki. What should we be anticipating? Have the numbers been released for what we're going to see for our payouts?
Yeah, actually, I just did it and sent in the funds for the big check amount. But $10,000 will be first place for MPO, $4,000 for FPO. I think our added cash is 78,000 in that range. So it's a Ledgestone record. Our largest before that was 65,000 back in 2015. So it took me a while to kind of break that mark. But we are at a record for added cash this year.
Wow, that's incredible. And again, 1,970 players. Can you get past 2,000? Is that even a goal? You know, how do you even grow from here, if you even want to after this?
You know, next year will be tough. If my wife is listening, please pause the audio, because I have combined worlds next year and D-Glow and Ledgestone in a 6-week period. So that sounds super easy. So I don't know. I don't think, I mean, we have to have more courses. We have some leads on, I get contacted all the time for, hey, come put a course here. You know, so right now we have one course left that we're not using that's not quite suitable. So I think we're pretty close to capacity for now, but in a few years we'll probably grow again. And yeah.
All right. Well, anything you want to say before we cut you loose? We know it's going to be a crazy week for you.
I've got nothing.
All right. You've had enough. All right, everyone. This is Nate Heinold. We'll see him running around throughout the week. Of course, him and the incredible staff that have been put together to host these 1,900 plus players at 12 courses, looking at the largest event in history. And that's all thanks to the vision and the hard work that this man has put together. So thanks for everything. And, well, you go get back to work.
Yeah.
And then send your mom and her cookies over. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we're going to welcome right in. This is just rapid fire. Your Preserve Open champion from last weekend, picking up his first Pro Tour win since way back in April. Ricky Wysocki. Rick, just right there. Rick, welcome. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. I was raptor in here. If you guys didn't notice, you can't see my legs. You can only see my face, but I was raptor legs into the show, and glad to join you, Terry.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, a little bit different tonight. We're just going with the raw setup here. This feels a little bit raw even for me, but we're glad you could join us. You know, I know we talked about it shortly after the victory, but it's been a few months, and that's not from playing bad. I mean, competition's getting tougher, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that, I mean, that's it's a direct correlation to that, I think, for sure. I mean, you really have to play super solid to win week in and week out. And if you're not playing to your best ability at our level, you're not going to win week in and week out. So there's a lot of players playing at a high level right now, and I think that's growth of the sport. I think it's something that I think it just shows the true level of competition, how many people are taking it serious, how many people are really treating this sport like it is, which is a super high level sport that you got to commit your life to and dedicate yourself to be able to win at the highest level.
Well, let's be real. You're kind of one of the old men on tour now, which is kind of crazy to say, you know, starting off your professional career in 2010, 2011 timeframe. But here you are all these years on the road. You know, what's that been like?
It's been good. I mean, I think I benefit from having played all these events and playing under so many different situations and seeing the sport grow. I mean, there's so many variables that I think that me playing for as long as I have has benefited me. I get into spots where I really feel like I'm able to take advantage of my past experiences. And so I think that, you know, that's the most important thing for me, is really just going out there and relying on my, like you said, veteran skills. Now that a lot of times I'm the older man in the cards. But like I said, I think I use it to my advantage a lot. I stay healthy. So I'm old age wise, maybe compared to some of these other kids, but health wise, I feel like I'm in great shape, and I still got another 10 years left to play at this level. And so that's really exciting for me. And that's another reason why I take my health and wellness so serious.
Well, and there's a lot of people that would say, how long do you see yourself doing this? Like, what's the end goal? What's the vision? What's the long-term plan here? As you're grinding it out on the road, are you thinking 5, 10, 20 years down the road? What are some of the things that you think about?
Yeah, I think for my playing career, I think it's probably like 10. I'd say I think that's when, you really start to fade off a little bit. Is a little bit, I should say. Is like, and it depends. Everybody's different. It dep- and like it depends on how you take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, your body may start falling apart at 35. And if I'm taking my health and wellness seriously, I can maybe prolong that until I'm 40, and stay healthy, stay strong, be able to throw as the long distances you need to throw to compete on these long courses. So there's a lot that boils back to eating well and staying healthy and stretching and working out, all that stuff. So I think I'm 28 now. I think in 10 years is definitely, I think I can win tournaments and play at the highest level, have a chance to win majors and big pro elite series tournaments until I'm 38, I think.
So let's sidetrack just a little bit, but keeping that thought. Masters Worlds starting today. I mean, you've got a ton of friends, you've got mentors, you have fellow competitors. I think of your Philos, your Felbergs, your Johnny McRae's. I mean, so many players that have really paved the way that were touring before you. When you think about a Masters Worlds, does that at all even creep into your mind of like, man, I kind of can't wait to get to a Masters Worlds?
No, I haven't.
Nowhere near.
Not at all. But
Okay.
it's definitely weird that like Felberg and these people I've looked up to and like aspired to be are now kind of transitioning into playing Masters and focusing on other stuff. They're not really touring as much, so it's weird not seeing some of these pros that I had been used to seeing for so long. And so it kind of it reminds me like, hey, you got to do your best while you can, because every athlete at the professional level has an expiration date. And so it's really a tough pill to swallow. I think you see it in a lot of sports, and I talk to it a lot about people a lot. Is it's like once you get to that level of a top professional sport, and then you eventually you're going to come off your pedestal. You can fall into depression. You can fall into all kinds of different paths, because you're just so used to competing, and next thing you know, you can't. And so it's just all about transitioning the right way. And I think that like what Macbeth's doing with the course, he's setting himself up to have a course where after he's done playing, where he can go and do that. Not that he's done playing anytime soon, but by the time, he's 40, 45 or whenever he feels like he's ready to take time away from being a top player. And that's the thing about disc golf. You can always be a player and enjoy the game. But as far as being a top elite player, there comes an expiration date with that.
And with that, is there anyone specifically that you really have looked to and like you said, aspired to be or think about when you think about some of our Masters age players where you're like, dang, they still have it? Is there anyone that jumps out at you?
So we just played the Preserve, and Kale's that's a perfect example. I don't know how old he is exactly, but I'd say he's 36, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
And he's got the Preserve complex. He's growing the name and the course through these tournaments, and people are just seeing how amazing of a course it is. It's a great venue, and Kale's still a great player, and he's still got, I'm sure, 5 to 10 more years of competing. But when he's done playing, he's got that to fall back on, as he can offer the disc golf community a great venue to host tournaments, and he can still get that dose of competing and playing, and that's what he dedicated his life to, and that's where he got because of disc golf, and he can always offer that back to the community, that amazing piece of property. So I think that's something I really look forward to, that aspect, doing that and kind of shifting into that, instead of shifting into depression, shift into have a course, have a tournament, have something that's long-standing that can really get that just grow the sport and that you gave everything to.
Well, and let's talk about growing the sport a little bit. You're one of the most approachable, friendliest guys. You, of course, are always running around and interacting with the fans, and it seems like it really energizes you as much as it does your fans. Where do you? I feel like you've even gotten more aggressive with your happiness, if that's a way to put it. But it feels like you've gotten even a little more excitable lately. Did something stem that, or is it just what's happened?
I honestly, I think Sorry, I'm getting.
You're good.
I'm that's not something
You're
I'm
getting
great at.
excited.
Yeah. No, I think like honestly, I fall back to it a lot. But the health and wellness, it just makes me have natural energy and just be happy and smiley. And I think just genuine people see genuine and just like anything in life, not just athlete or anything, but people see right through fake people.
Mhm.
But it's the opposite for genuine people. They can see when I'm genuinely happy and love them cheering for me and yelling raptor legs at me and all the other stuff that, so I give it back by just smiling, fist bumping, when you're just acknowledging them and just showing we love the game at the same level. I may compete at a different level, but we enjoy the game at the same level. And so I think that that's the most important thing. And I'm really starting to relate with people and they're relating with me. And that's amazing. I think that's the biggest thing.
What I feel like, of course, the bar continues to rise for you. So, at what point do the raptor legs get broken out? Because I feel like we should be seeing more of them. And I don't know if you're just holding them back, if you're resting them. I don't know what it is, but I don't feel like we see them quite as much as we should.
I know it's funny. Everyone says that. So like, I feel like last week I kind of broke them out. Like I didn't, it
Mhm.
wasn't like full, but it was like they were baby raptor legs. They were there.
Mhm.
It's something like I'm in the moment so much sometimes that it's like I kind of forget. It's like a terrible thing.
I forget
really,
my signature
yeah, I
move.
forget my signature. It's like it's like in your Mortal Kombat, and each player has their own like signature punch or something, and that's sort of like bonus, like their bonus, move or whatever. No, but yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing. I make a putt or something. I'm so excited that I made that shot that I'm just. Next thing I know, I'm at the basket and I like forgot to do raptor legs, and then the fans are like, "Do raptor legs," and so no. But I think next time I remember, I mean, you could say I do it every time. Every time I run down a putt, that's raptor legs is running to get his disc out of the basket.
Okay. Okay.
So I just got to get the legs up a little higher
A little
to really
bit.
pronounce
Yeah.
the.
Come on. Yeah. Accentuate those legs.
Exactly,
Everybody
that's
wants to see them. So speaking of some excitement, you're a huge sports fanatic. You followed and played and are active with a bunch of sports as growing up, and sports are clearly something you're passionate about. What was it like to again be on ESPN2 last night? To see everything that unfolded with Portland and just of course that one didn't go in your favor. But what was it like having another presence on ESPN?
It was awesome. I think I really enjoyed the commentary too. I think that's the number one thing that stuck out to me. Philo did a great job. Terry did a great job.
Okay. Okay.
I wouldn't have mentioned him unless he started fist pumping. But no, no, yeah. But I like that they really coincided really well together. You guys, the sport really well. Terry's been around long enough. He knows all the dynamics, all the intricacies that maybe a hole or a tournament, transpire how a hole plays out or how a tournament plays out. So I think that I love that fact about the commentary that we're having in our sport, and especially on the ESPN in general, is you guys did a good job in really portraying the sport situationally, what's happening, where to land in the fairways, circle one. And so I like the presentation of that. The music was great too. I
Okay.
like the music a lot. I think it built up the hype. And it was definitely interesting. I know that's something that stuck out to me for sure. And I know a lot of people I watched the broadcast with did as well. So I think that's a big step in the right direction. And I think that's something where it's a sustainable thing for the future. And we're really showing them. And I would love to see the numbers once they come out to see how many people watched it. But it definitely seemed like there's a lot of people interested in seeing it.
Yeah, and of course, we can say, the Olympics were taking place. I don't know what was going on specifically with the Olympics and all the games last night, but you're going up against that. However, just as this is for everyone out there, the reason that ESPN is working with us in the Disc Golf Pro Tour and disc golf in general is they really like what they saw when they saw, the Dynamic Disc Open last year, when they saw the Pro Tour Championships, and then a number of events that are going to also be coordinated with this year. They saw it and they liked it. And that's huge. I mean, to think that ESPN has taken some interest in what we're doing in our little world, I think is pretty incredible. And everything you said about being excitable, about being as professional and the way that you are, I mean, that all ties into all of that.
Yeah, I think there's just so many things falling into place with our sport, with the broadcast, with the commentary, with the sponsors getting involved, with Nate running these tournaments, the TDs that are being ambassadors for not just the tournament but the sport in general. With the, I'm sure he has affiliation with the PDGA, and so he's just doing everything that he can to grow the sport that we all love, and it's working. I mean, it's obviously working. There's so much stuff that's going on in the back burners with the Pro Tour and the PDGA and all the other organizations that are running these events. And so I think that's super important for sustainability. I think that a lot of people have talked about the growth, and they always say like the growth goes up and then eventually it's going to plateau. I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to go up, but it's going to plateau. I don't think it's going to come back down, because once you play disc golf and once everyone sees how awesome it is, you're not just going to stop playing. So there's not going to be that drop off like a stock market or something.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a plateau.
And that's one thing that we talk about. The numbers that get thrown around are saying that half of the people in the world that are playing disc golf picked it up since 2020, which is insane, knowing that, it's been around for 40 years, 40 plus years, all the hard work all the groundwork that's been laid. But then to see such an explosion over these last couple of years, specifically in the last year, I think is incredible. So clearly you're a flagship player for Innova. And there's always questions about, I'm totally switching gears very quickly here. There's always questions, though, about the Tour Series disc, the Signature Series disc, availability. Right now everyone's having a hard time getting any disc. But do you have any insight when more pigs are dropping, or when there's any of that becomes available? Is that something that you guys have interactions with over at Innova?
Yeah, so I talked to him, and the factory store and the Innova is actually separate. So I actually don't have. So when it comes to my Tour Series pigs, I don't actually get any quicker notifications to get them before anybody else. So there's no royalty treatment here. Like yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, I get if I want something to throw, I always have access to them. That's not a problem. I can say, hey, send me 50 or 25 pigs or whatever. And, I'll hand them out to teammates or team players that are like, hey, you got any pigs? I'm like the pig dealer on tour, like a drug dealer. Hey, you got any more of those pigs? Because they'll throw them, like, those are awesome. And they come back and want more. I'm like, I don't know. I got a couple of my personal stash. I don't know. So it's funny. Next thing you know, I get 25 or 50, and then they're gone in like a week. I'm like, I got none for myself. Let me get some more factory store. So I do get them, but I don't. It's not like I can go on there and order unlimited that I want. I still have, I still can't just say, hey, send me 500 pigs or go on there. I still got to order them too. Like, so I have a personal allotment is basically what it comes down to. And then other than that, I got to fend for myself, just like all the rest of you guys are trying to get them on Twitter and seeing the notifications and trying to jump on there and order 20 and ship them to the next address that I'm at and play that game. So, but yeah, the pig is, I think it's just such a self-explanatory disc. It's such an amazing disc for all skill levels. I think that's another thing. My personality is genuine. And when you see the pig, how it flies, it's just genuinely an amazing disc. So that's why that's awesome.
But I'm gonna ask though. I feel like the pig is almost a specialty disc. You do things, and Nate Sexton has said this. You do things with a pig that most people can't. So it's in some ways a specialty disc. Like how you're saying the 10-year-old and the 40-year-old and the MA2 and the FA3, like everybody should be throwing a pig though?
Yes, I think
how. It doesn't really fly very far, right? Like unless
it's
you're
supposed,
throwing
that's what they say, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you don't have that problem.
No, I'm joking. I'm not that.
No, but you're right. Like you seriously, like most people aren't like, yeah, I'm going to throw my pig 300 feet. Nobody says that.
Right.
You do, but nobody else does.
The thing is about it that you got to understand is once you beat it up, it's overstable to start, but it's like a mid range, like a DX or a KC Pro mid range, a low grade plastic. When you beat it up, it starts, you can have the hyzer flip and get more distance. It's like a rock. If you get a brand new rock, it's not going to go as far versus if you beat it in because it's going to hyzer out. So it's just like a pig. If you throw a pig, let's say your max distance with a pig is 250 feet, and that's a max, all you can get.
Or 205.
Or 205 if you're Terry Miller. I'm just kidding. I'm joking. But once you beat that thing in, you can start getting a little bit more glide and a little bit more turn. So now you're starting to throw at 250, and then you beat up a little more. So it can have, you can shape the disc the more it's broken in. And that's why I like it so much, because that's why I have 3 or 4 or 5 pigs in my bag, because they do all do different things. Just like a lot of people have 2 or 3 different rocks in their bag. Same reason I have the pigs. They just have completely different flights based on how long they're in your bag.
So do you refer to it as your bag or the the pen, like the pig pen is
Yeah,
where
pig pen. I like that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
okay.
I like that.
All right, so let's. There's a lot of chatter, and this is really distracting for you, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Because you want to read what we
It's-
always recommend people don't read the comments. That's the next level of like trying to read
Yes.
it. And
Are you good at that yet or no?
yeah, I've been doing
Okay.
this for a long
That's
time,
not fair.
so
That's so hard
it's
to do.
pretty easy that I can, but it's very distracting for any
Yeah.
guest because the guest always wants to know what's being said. But
Exactly.
anyway, so what I was now I'm losing my train of thought. No, what I was going to say
Hey, no,
is
you're maybe not so good at it after all.
a lot of people are talking about your putter. You've putted forever with KC AVRs, but now there's like this whole thing on the internet. If you've been out there, I don't know if you know what the internet's a big deal.
I guess I've heard that.
People are talking about a whale and a stamp and what's going on. Give everybody like the exclusive, like the down and dirty. What is going on? When are you putting with what?
I might get in trouble, Terry. I don't know.
That's why you're here.
I know. That's what
Bring
he's
in the
always
cookies.
looking.
Get the
If you give me a
cookie.
box of cookies, I'll be here for a minute.
All
No.
right. What's the deal?
So I switched to the KC Pro Whale going into this last week, the Preserve, and I was just mostly just a trial run. I was like, all right, let's see how this goes. I like the glide on it, so that was number one. It's like an AVR but little deeper rim, so like maybe like a deep. You're from Chicago, Milwaukee, close enough
Yeah.
to Chicago. You understand Chicago style pizza, like a deeper dish versus
Okay.
like a thin crust. What would be a thin crust style? What city is thin crust?
Well,
New York style?
I don't know if New York. I think New York has all sorts. Yeah, they have thin pizza.
Okay,
Sure.
so like a thin crust pizza would be like an AVR, and the whale would be like a deep dish Chicago style. So it's a wider dish for a putter. But anyways, so the wider rim makes it glide a little bit more, and so I get the little bit extra distance on those long putts. As you saw at the Preserve, I was able to make some long putts down the stretch to be able to win, and so that's what I really enjoyed. But it's going to it's going to be the sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say this.
Yes, you are. That's why it's a SmashBox exclusive.
Okay. It's going to be the grenade is what my putter's going to be.
Okay,
It's going to be the grenade.
To be fair, that was thrown out there. People were talking about that throughout the
Yes.
weekend. I heard that.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be the grenade
grenade.
instead of the whale.
Yes. It's good. So
it's just getting a rename.
Yeah, it's kind of going to be so basically. Oh yes.
The whale didn't test well in the test market when Sexton was going to have it or what?
No, I don't know. The branding was better. I like the grenade. It fits the Sake Bomb brand. I've always like all my stamps and stuff have been like grenades and bombs and stuff like that. So
peace, love, happiness. Yeah.
So yeah, I just switched to it. So I still kind of not. This is all supposed to be under the radar, so you guys can all go ahead and get me in trouble. Terry got me in trouble. No, I'm just kidding. But that's kind of the rundown. Is it's going to be the grenade. That's going to be my putter, and we are going to be making some long putts with that. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I do.
Well, all right. So we're this far. Is there expected release date and branding and all that? Like when?
So yeah, no, actually it's I'm still kind of going through the process to make sure that's the putter I want. So obviously putters are touchy, and it's something to where that's kind of why we're waiting. I want to make sure this is the putter so I got to pass all the different, if I'm putting with it in the wind, if I'm, straddle putting with it, obviously there's a lot of different scenarios that I got to use this still to test that to see how it releases onto my hand for all the different situations.
Could you see yourself still throwing like a KC AVR in a certain range, keeping the KC AVR in your bag, even if you go to a grenade and we'll just say everything inside 90 feet is roughly where you're for sure using it. Is there still probably going to be a spot for the KC AVR in your bag or not necessarily?
Yes, it's going to be totally. Yeah, the KC Pro AVR is such a solid disc. It's amazing. It's just a staple. There's a reason why it's been such a the most popular putter almost on the team the team players for so long. But so I'll have one in there. I think that it's an important disc. It's a great disc, and it's something where it'll complement the whales for sure. Grenades.
The grenade whales.
Grenade whales. Yeah, there we go. We can do the best of both worlds. But yeah, no, it's going to be in there. Maybe as a throwing putter or like certain shots, I'll throw it out. That's still a learning curve. I'm not sure actually to answer your question fully, but I definitely see it still being in the bag.
Well, and then really what I'm getting at, and this is all that matters, is that you will likely rely less on KC AVRs, which means you have a surplus, which means some can get thrown. my way.
He's always giving me crap. That's funny. Yeah, no, actually, I putted with those Gentleman Club AVRs for the longest time. Those things were butter.
Yeah. Ricky and I can we go back when it goes to KC AVRs. We certainly share some same likenesses throughout the years, which works out well. Let's backtrack just briefly on, there's still a lot of chatter. We just saw Andrew Zimmern again this weekend because we were in Minnesota. He's, of course, from there. But going back to how much fun you clearly had, and you knew a number of these celebrities coming into this, go back to that experience over at Ben Askren's and playing in that, and how do we improve upon it?
Yeah, that was awesome. I think the crossover between all these sports, the UFC, the MLB with Dylan, and all this different stuff has done so much for the sport. See you, Nate. He's lazy. He's going home. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he's going sleepies.
I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Just write that.
Oh, that's all for charity,
Turn that
right?
into a check for Ricky.
Oh, yeah, he's carrying my money to the bank. Thank you. I'm just kidding. Sorry, we were just talking to Nate as he was leaving with some
bunch of money.
Yeah.
Go hunt him down. He lives at no.
Yeah, right. But no, back to the pro-am. Yeah, Dylan with it being in the MLB, he's been spotted throwing discs out of the stadium before games and stuff like that. So there's baseball fans that were disc golf fans also that saw him and they're like taking videos like, oh, it's so cool. Anyways, yeah, I've been friends with Dylan for a couple of years now, and he's just been. I played around with him in Arizona when he was in there for spring training, and so I made a video. I didn't post it to YouTube yet, but in the future it will be on there. So him and like you said, Andrew Zimmern, he's a huge fan, and he's just an awesome dude. It's awesome to see that he just gets out to play disc golf as an outlet from his cooking shows and all the the stress of being Andrew Zimmern. So he just plays disc golf as an outlet. So that's awesome. And so all these professional athletes, UFC guys, are just using disc golf as an outlet. So obviously we're top players, but they're using disc golf as something to just go out and have fun and take a break from their profession.
Yeah, and another guy that you've spent some time with off the course, well before the pro-am, was Julian Marquez. Is it Marquez?
Marquez, yep.
Okay. Who I didn't know personally before the pro-am. I saw him at the Dynamic Disc Open. He seemed totally enamored by everything that was going on there. But you spent some time with him even just the weekend before. I think you were at his house in Kansas City. And man, he's a character. I mean, he certainly was enjoying himself and having a lot of fun at the event, wasn't he?
Yes, he's a blast. He's such a fun dude. I went over there to watch UFC fights one night, Saturday, when I was in Kansas City. And it was just fun. He's just, as you saw, if you didn't watch the videos, he's always talking crap. He's all about just having a good time. And he loves disc golf. It was, it's another one of those guys that just enjoys playing the sport. And I think he's hooked now. He wasn't really like gung ho playing all the time, but now that he's seen the atmosphere, seen the sport, seen the top players, I think that's the biggest thing is all these professional athletes and professional, people are seeing how awesome the sport is and all the people involved. And I think that's what also gets them. The sport itself is fun, but then you meet all the people and that's just icing on the cake. And so I think that all that stuff's coming together and, we're getting this crossover for, they're touching base with our fans and their fans are, learning about disc golf also. So it's just a win-win for everybody involved. And it's so awesome just to see the genuine joy when they throw a decent shot or hit a long putt or something like that. And it's really cool. It's awesome to see that.
Yeah. And I didn't realize just how much he carried you that second round. I mean, that dude hit some ridiculous. I mean, he did foot fault on almost every one of them, but that's okay. He hit some serious putts that round. It was when I was kind of going back through the footage. I was like, holy cow, he was doing some work out there. What was it like giving, whether it's him or Andrew or Dylan or anyone else? Casey DeSmith was out there, all the other players. Were a lot of them asking you for tips or tricks or and how receptive were they to all of that?
Yeah, Dylan, I played rounds with him. I've given a lot of form help and putting advice. Same with Julian. So we worked on some stuff. The week prior, he was all super pumped about the event. He's like, dude, I need some help. Show me some form tweaks that I can make for the round. And he played amazing, as you saw. He was hitting Raptor range putts because he was getting taught by the Raptor. But yeah, no, he was a lot of fun to kind of coach, I guess, so to say. I told him, I go, dude, I need to get some coaching for some UFC and maybe start a UFC disc golf find someone to fight in the disc golf world. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be funny though. Disc golf might be a little harder if you get hit in the head a little bit too much. That might not be a good combo.
Yeah,
it might be a little harder.
So thinking ahead a little bit, I've got a few people in my mind that I know that disc golf that we didn't reach out to or didn't think of or whatever it might be. Is there anyone else that you know of that disc golfs that we have to really start making sure we think ahead to who could be at the next one?
I think Lowry Markkinen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've been talking to him. He always congratulates me and stuff when I'm winning, and he just seems to be a big fan. I know he just filmed the video in Finland with some of the Vino and a lot of Seppo maybe, and a lot of those top Finnish players over there. So people were talking about the video that he's been in. So that's really cool crossover as well. I think that it's just going to be more and more. I think as these players tell their friends and so on, that the sport's growing. I mean, it's a lot of the PGA guys are playing. I know DeChambeau, Bubba Watson, those guys are all playing. I know some caddies on the PGA Tour that play, that their players also play, and so the PGA Tour is getting involved. The NBA, the MLB, all the professional organizations are just seeing the growth, I think, and that's all directly because we're on ESPN and we're on all these big networks that they're on. So they see golf and then they leave golf on their TV, and next thing you know, they're watching disc golf at in Portland Open or whatever, or whatever the other broadcasts have been. So it's pretty cool to see that, that's directly correlated, I think, to the fact that we're getting on these big networks.
And do you think that any of these athletes and these super skilled professionals and whatever they've been doing, do you think that any of them are like, oh, well, yeah, I've seen that. That looks easy. I mean, I play 19 games of football a year or whatever it is. Like going out and throwing a disc around, that's pretty easy. Do you think some people maybe you don't quite revere disc golf as the challenge that it really is?
Oh, it's super challenging. I mean, it depends on what you're considering. If you're just talking about throwing a disc and throwing it straight 150, 200 feet, yeah, anybody can learn to do that down the road once you practice enough. But to get to a top tier level of, it's just as hard as becoming a professional basketball player, or, you have to put in the work. It doesn't matter what the sport is. Everyone can say it's easy up to a certain level. But in order to get to that 1% of the 1%, you have to dedicate your life. You have to be athletic. You have to treat it like a professional sport that it is. And so I think everyone always says, oh, I'd love to see Giannis throw a disc, or I'd love to see LeBron James throw a disc. Yeah, it'd be terrible. Like if they threw a disc, it'd be awful.
Okay.
I mean, and it would still take them, dedicating their entire life to it, even them being a specific athlete that they are. And still then you may not be a top professional athlete. That's just how it is. There's, there's so many variables that have to fall into place to become a top athlete. And so even if you give them years of experience, they would probably not even be at the level that we're at. It's just how it is. I would never, think that I'm going to be a UFC fighter just because I'm training or, talking to Julian and getting UFC lessons or whatever. There's so many intricacies to becoming a top level athlete that people just don't understand. So it's easy to say it on paper, but it's a whole nother thing to go out and throughout the process and actually grow as a player to become a top player in the world.
And I think that in a way, this is a roundabout compliment to someone like you, in that some days you make it look so easy. I mean, when you're hitting multiple putts from circle 2, from way deep in circle 2, and you're throwing 450, 500 foot drives, you're throwing rollers down that are landing within, in the circle from 500 feet. You guys make it look easy. And I think a lot of people think, well, it can't be that hard. But like you said, Giannis, LeBron, sure, they could maybe throw a disc, but it's still going to take them years to get anywhere. I mean, athleticism helps, but that's not all of it.
No, totally. And it's like you see Nico, you see Emerson, you see me, you see Calvin. There's just so many different builds. But what we have in common is we put the work in, we put the time in. And so, like you said, the athletes in the game, there's people. Ezra, he's a super athletic guy, super strong, super jacked. He's a really good player. So there's just so many different builds of people. That just tells you that you can be strong, you can be short, you can be tall, but you still, the variables have to line up to where you have to put in the work and the dedication to get to that level. And that's the number one thing. And like you said, throwing 500 foot shots, landing them inside the circle. That's a tough thing to do. We make it look easy. Giannis,
some days.
Yeah, Giannis, yeah, some days. But Giannis dunks a basketball from the free throw line. That looks easy, right? But he trained his entire life. He's got this massive build that it allows him to do that. So it's the same thing. It's just in a different, translated in a different sport.
I'm going to take a kind of a slight detour to say another trained professional is just probably landed somewhere in Estonia, and that I'm talking about Kristen Tatar. Of course, she's traveling with Silver and with Albert, but Kristen Tatar. I know you're not intimately, following every single throw within the FPO division because you have a lot of things going on. But how is that crazy? I mean, what can you say about the FPO world that we saw Kristen Tatar come in? She finished with 3 consecutive wins. She finished 5th at the Worlds. What is what can you take from that? I mean, she won by like 11 this weekend.
Yeah. So yeah, she's an amazing player. She always has been. I think she has been slept on because she hasn't been playing as much in the States just because she's from Estonia, but that doesn't mean she was any better or worse just because she's from there. Her skill set is top level as she's shown, and she has shown over the years. I think Silver, she's obviously with Silver, and he's got an amazing sidearm. I've noticed that's rubbed off on her. She's got a great sidearm to complement her genius hyzer flip backhand game. It is absolutely world class and almost untouchable. So she has a great hyzer flip game. She's got a solid spin putt. She throws sidearms. She's got a great mental game. She keeps her head on her shoulders, and she's getting wins. I think that, and the biggest thing is she's consistent. And like you said, she got 5th at Worlds. And then that was her worst finish here. I think that's a lot of people sleep on the fact that you got to be consistent to be a top player. You can't get 4th or 5th and then win a tournament and then get 25th the next week. If you finish like MPO, you're getting top 10. That's respectable. FPO, I think top 5s. If you're not winning, you're getting consistently in the top 5. That's respectable, and that's a top level athlete right there. And that's the biggest thing that I think separates someone like Kristen versus someone that's maybe a 5th or 6th or 7th place FPO player, is they may get 2nd or 3rd one week, and then they'll get 10th or 12th the next week, and averages out to their 5th or 6th in the world. Versus her ceiling is a lot higher, and that's what's super impressive. Is her ceiling used to be a little lower, maybe a couple years, 4 or 5 years ago, but now that she's dialing in her game, and it's really noticeable. And she, when she's not winning, which obviously as she's been winning, but even when she's not, she is finishing right there. She's still on the feature card, and she still has a presence.
Yeah, it was incredible. So big shout out to her. Of course, we're not going through all of the results from all the different tournaments throughout the weekend and everything else. I'm one hand short of scrolling through all that stuff. So we're going to keep it a little bit shorter tonight. But a big week, of course. And I guess what I think about is 4 days here, a relatively short turnaround. Then you go down to Kentucky for the next weekend. Week after week after week here, you're just grinding, aren't you?
Yeah, I think it was kind of known going into this last week that we got the Preserve, and then we're D-Glow Preserve, Ledgestone, Idlewild. So we kind of knew I prepared mentally. That's kind of one reason why I skipped Des Moines. I just wanted to make sure I was fresh and not really getting burned out, so that way I can feel good and healthy coming into these events. But they're all big events. Once again, you want to have, for me, I want to be consistent. I want to try and win. And if I'm not winning, I want to be right there. So that's the number one goal, is playing consistent, give myself chances to win. And if I do that, I'm going to win, or I'm going to be right there where I feel like I belong. And that's in the top 4, top 5. Obviously I'm not shooting for that, but I'm shooting to win. And what happens after that is it's all about consistency. That's what great players do. They get respectable finishes even when their game is not at its best.
Well, is there a weird, whether it's an expectation and or a pressure that's put on you? You're one of the best in the world every single weekend, week in and week out. What's that like, showing up every single weekend knowing people are like, hey, man, I really need to get past Ricky, or I need to beat him, or if I want to win, Ricky's definitely one of the people that I'm going to have to get past? What kind of pressure is that every single week?
It's definitely unique, and it's weird because it's like, I played a practice round like Drew and AB and all this other stuff, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to play a money round with you, and not, they're amazing players. Drew's, been an amazing player. AB's, got so much talent and skill. He's an amazing player, but it definitely adds, you'd think they would just be like, oh great, they respect you so much and they say this, but actually like does the opposite. It's like, oh, they believe in me, like, oh, not almost more than I do, but it's like they add that pressure onto you instead of like me feeding on it. It's more like, oh, well, they think I'm amazing, so it's like putting this pressure on myself that I wouldn't put on my own self, because I don't say it out loud. When someone says it out loud, it like sets in differently versus like when it's just in your head and you're thinking it. It's like, okay, I know I'm a great player and I know I can execute these shots, but when someone like expects you to do it and they say it out loud, oh, that's just a gimme putt from 25 feet. You can make that from 50. Yeah, but it's like it still adds that little extra thought in your head that you're like, oh, you're right, I should make this. And so it's a little different of a weird dynamic, definitely that I guess most people don't have to face, but it's not always great.
I can imagine,
Yeah.
and I mean, I go back to maybe even something specific this weekend. I was genuinely shocked. You nearly, I'll just say, choked away on that final hole of round 2, hole 18. Like that wasn't your best effort.
No, I was reading
I mean, if I'm
comments.
being blunt.
I was reading comments for most of it, but all I heard was choked away 18.
Yeah, I mean, you round 2, which could have been the last round. That was very much the threat, and it just seemed like you couldn't. I mean, you had an OB. You had to hit a huge putt just to save the par. Like that's an eagle almost in your sleep, and if not an eagle, it's like give me birdie. Like that's a birdie for you all day long. I mean, I think I could literally blindfold you and say, throw this 3 times and you're probably putting for birdie on that hole, but not so much. Were you feeling nervous? Were you feeling pressure of like, hey, this might be the last hole of the tournament?
Yeah, well, so basically the last, that kind of was it, honestly, a little bit. The pressure got to me a little bit. I was out of position, way out of position from any shot that I've practiced. So it was me being out of my comfort zone, a little bit of nerves, a little bit of not knowing the carry from where I was to the water. I had to throw so high because I was out of position over these trees, the guardian trees in the fairway, that I had to throw so high that I couldn't get the distance penetrating forward. I was going so high, and I just kind of like parachuted into the water. And so, yeah, I was thinking that putt was for the win, basically, because that's how I broke out the Raptor legs. Everyone screamed because I think that was the energy, is that was the last round, because that had a very high potential at the time to be the last round. And so, yeah, I definitely did not. That wasn't my best effort. And that's why sometimes when you say when you win, you can still learn a lot of stuff when you win. You don't always have to, people always say either you win or you learn. Well, I can win and I can learn all in one, So, that's the biggest difference. There's always things you can nitpick. You can nitpick to the day I die.
Sure,
every hole, every shot. But yeah, that was honestly probably my worst hole of the weekend. Just like you said, based on the par and based on really how easy that hole is. Any top player that can throw 500 feet, you should be getting a putt inside circle 2 guaranteed every time. Tap in birdie at worst almost.
So let's talk about the final hole. Then you move ahead one day, 18 holes later, you're back on hole 18. You've put yourself in the position that you did, and Eagle has that putt to tie it. Was that 25? It's tough to tell because there was the mound and he was in the sand trap, right? Tell me, what were your thoughts? I've got my thoughts. What were your thoughts as he's eyeing up that putt?
My thoughts were basically, so he was right at circle's edge. So he's like 32, 33 feet. He was inside the circle just by a smidge. The way I looked at it was I was playing the hole, and obviously I learned from day 2. I was like, all right, I need to at least get a 4. That's a worst case scenario.
Yeah, Terry could get a 4.
Yeah, exactly. Terry
could
get a 4. I should be able to do it with a pig only if he can know.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but yeah, no, the fact that I had the stroke advantage going into 18 was huge. I think that just because I had that I was able to put a lot more pressure on him, knowing that even if I don't execute the shot perfectly and don't get a 3, that I still can go to a playoff. And I played really well in hole 1 and hole 2. So the playoff holes were actually in my head, thinking, hey, I played 1 really well. I birdied 2 every time. So I was comfortable going to a playoff. So I didn't mind that. So basically, I threw my first shot, threw my second shot, and I just pitched up for a 4 because I knew he was 32 feet away. Still had to make that putt. Got the sand, you got the wind, you got a little bit of uphill. It wasn't, the variables weren't lining up to be a gimme putt. I knew that for sure. And I would say the percentages were with them. I think he was 80, 90% to make it, but you still have to make it, especially situationally. That is something that's what you play for. You play with a 1-stroke lead. You have to, as an athlete, that's what you put yourself in the situation to do. And not that I wanted to miss it. I was prepared to go to a playoff, but it didn't. And I was pumped with how I played the hole. I wasn't pumped that he missed it. I'll never root for that.
Of course.
I was just pumped that I put myself in this right situation to capitalize. I guess, on a mistake. Not that I'm rooting for the mistake. That's just how it goes. As
You did your job.
I did my job, and it's happened to me the vice versa.
Yeah.
I've lost to players that have done the same thing. They lay up a putt and they make me make that 30, 40 footer and I miss it. So it's happened both ways. That's just how sports goes. You got to line yourself up with the best chance percentage wise to win.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, dare we say, in a even grander scale, a few weeks ago, even you yourself, and I think the rest of the planet saw that Paul and James playing hole 18, that was the way that it was going to be played. And it took a 1 in a million or whatever shot for that to go down the way it did.
Totally.
It was, I mean, I always think back to when we talk about situational, and woulda, coulda, shoulda. I'll say it again. If anyone thinks with the given shots and the order in which they were played, if you think Paul played it wrong, I'm sorry, I think you're an idiot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean,
situationally, they don't. Yeah.
he was playing. All he needed, was to get up and down in the way he did. So that we don't need to go into all that, but it's something that comes up. Situational is so crucial for everyone out there when they're trying to close out a tournament. And I think you exemplified that perfectly.
And I've been on the back end of it too. I've been the Eagle at Portland. I had the putt and I missed it. It's just it's the same exact putt. It's same distance, same everything. So. It doesn't always go your way. I was, he had the pressure on me because he was closer than I was. So situationally, he had the advantage, and I had to make that putt to go to force the playoff. And obviously, I missed it in Portland, as you guys all saw on the
Spoiler.
ESPN. Yeah, my bad.
I did.
So we're at the point where we're fighting tooth and nail for every single stroke, and obviously it shows. Me and Eagle and Paul are right there. A lot of tournaments, and we're so close in skill level that one stroke means the world. Literally at these tournaments.
Well, and to me, what's crazy, and just to go back to the Portland, I remember when we were watching it live, I was shocked. I mean, I assumed you were going to make that. I just assumed you were. I was, yeah. Do you remember anything that was or wasn't going through your head at the time?
Yeah, I remembered I'd missed a couple putts that round. That I'm no different than most people. You miss a couple putts and you start second guessing things. And obviously, overall, I'm really good at snapping out of it and making adjustments. But yeah, I mean, I could blame all kinds of stuff, but basically, yeah, the situation got to me, and that's just, nobody's immune to that, pressure of a putt like that. And so, in order to succeed, sometimes you gotta fail and say, hey, what can I take away from this and learn from that? But yeah, it just boils down to the fact that it doesn't matter. You get yourself in that situation, you're not going to succeed every single time as much as you want to, and you're going to set yourself up to. You're just going to have to overcome it and move on to the next one. And I paid him back. Revenge. I got revenge, I guess, so to say, and at the next tournament at the Preserve. And so that's, you lose some, you win some. But like I said, at the end of the day, you want to take advantage of the wins when you are in contention as much as you can. And when you're not in contention, you want to salvage and try and get as good of a finish as you can. Like you said, like I was talking about with Kristen, finishing at the top consistently when you're not winning.
Yeah, and I think we say it all the time. I feel like you and a Paul and an Eagle, sometimes it feels like if you're not first, though, does it even matter? Is that ever true? Because like I feel like a second at any tournament means almost nothing to you. A third or whatever, like those mean nothing. You're trying to win, and you're capable of winning every single week. So am I wrong in saying like you don't care if it's not first?
I mean, it's not that I don't care. It's just you almost lose focus because we're so used to being in contention for the win or winning that when you're not, it's almost like you're out of your comfort zone. Seriously, we've gotten so accustomed to it, me, Eagle, and Paul, that we're week in and week out, we're either winning, battling for the win, or right there. And so when you're not, or when something's going on, that you really feel like you lose a little bit of focus, and so it may feel like you're giving up. If someone's looking at following the tournament, but it's just that lack of focus because we're so used to having that killer mindset of wanting to win all the time.
All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. Normally, once we go on and on for a while, we have some other stuff. We're going to skip any other stuff tonight. We're going to go straight to, if we want to call this an after show, you guys call it what you want. Here's where we'll directly read off, as if this was the after show. We'll directly read off all of the comments. Well, not all of them. We'll We'll skim through them. And if you guys have legitimate questions, we'll skip most of the anything stupid. But if you have legitimate questions for either Ricky or myself, we'll go ahead and try to answer them. We'll do a little bit of this, and then we'll cut loose out of here. It's gonna be a relatively early night. I've got some stuff to prep for tomorrow. So, whoops, sorry, as I'm hammering on the computer here. So I'm just gonna start somewhere in here about Josh talking about the signature putter. We kind of went over all that. You guys were also talking a little bit, I think, in the chat board about the course that you just played at the Preserve. I guess the question I'll pull from there is, do you need to see changes? Is that course too easy? Should we be looking at this birdie fest? I mean, you played it really well, obviously, but is it, are there too many birdies? Do you care if you win a tournament? Would you have felt just as good if you won the tournament, but you happen to be, 15 under as opposed to, 40 under or whatever it was, or 30 something?
I think, and I've told Kale this before, I think there needs to be a little more OB. I think it could be more challenging as far as so they line the fairways with the sponsor boards and stuff like on hole 1, if you've seen in the coverage. And so I think the sponsor boards should be out of bounds, allowing you to forcing you to throw a more accurate tee shot instead of just bailing out to the right, the fat side of the fairway, avoiding the water completely. I think you should be just enough to where it's in your head and it makes you force you to throw a different shot. So
Sure.
I think that would avoid a distance contest, I guess, so to say, on some holes, because some holes are just completely wide open, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think it would add a little bit more character to the course, and it would flow better. The score to par would be better. I think there would be a little more separation. So there's a lot of stuff that the OB would offer that I think that it would make for a better course overall. And I'm not saying just to plant OB everywhere, but strategically in spots where it makes sense, where you're, maybe the galleries are, staying in the OB spots as opposed to inbounds, that kind of stuff. And the fact that some of the fairways are hundreds of feet wide that are with no trouble on them at all. And that's why the scores were so good. And like you said, sometimes it doesn't matter to par, but I'm saying just from a design standpoint, the difficulty of the shot could be a little bit more challenging if you just added some of those sponsor sign areas being OB.
Okay. All right. Disc Blaster says, do you really carry a Boss? And if so, what plastic?
Yes, I do. I throw a Champion Pop Top Boss. That's my go-to. I don't throw it a ton, but
like
when
146 gram one, like David Wiggins set a record with.
Blizzard Boss. Yes.
Blizzard.
How you know my style so much. Thank you. Thanks for knowing my personality. It's a 175, Terry. We're not talking about your bag. We're talking about mine.
All right. Fair enough. But David Wiggins did set a world record.
He did.
I mean,
yes.
Okay.
I guess I'm not a world record thrower. So
no, you're not. You don't have that record.
No.
Thoughts on Northwood Black, the new course?
I did see someone saying that I predict the score for the round. I think the hot round will be over-under will be 4.
Okay.
I would probably take the over 400. So I think someone will shoot 5. But there's very good potential that nobody breaks 4 under.
Wow.
I think you will definitely not see anybody like 7 or 8 under. That's for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll see 5, maybe 6. But 7 or 8 is going to be very tough. I would say that would be like an 1100 rated round.
Okay.
It's like insane. So I played a money round today with the AB and Drew, and I shot 200 and I was pumped. Like I would be like, if I shot 200 there every round,
if I said to you right now, Rick, you can have 2 under during the first round there, and we'll give you 2 under during the second round. You can't change anything. You would say, I'll take that and run.
Every time.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Every time.
That says a lot, I think.
Yeah. I think the top players range is going to be from 2 to 3 under to 1 over is going to be like what you'll see. Eagle, me, Paul, in general, we'll be shooting those scores. And so I think that there won't be there's definitely separation. It's a hard enough course to where there's tons of separation. There's the holes are challenging, but at the end of the day, you're going to be hovering if you're right around par, maybe a handful, 2 or 3 up, 2 or 3 down based on how you're playing that day.
Okay. Fair enough. Sue in Raleigh, who's always out there. Sue, thanks for being such a dedicated viewer. Says Blizzard Boss rules, so you better recognize.
I know I'm not talking crap about it. I'm just appreciating now that it's a world record disc, so you got to.
Heck yeah. What is the Andy? You have a legit question. You say, what is the S in LIS Open? That has always kind of irked me. Irked is maybe a strong word. I've been a little inquisitive of that as well, because Ledgestone Insurance, but then it's like, and then Open, so it's the LIO, but I don't know.
Yeah, LIS.
Yeah, it's always it's I don't know. That's Nate's not here.
Ledgestone Insurance.
Yeah, it's
and
Ledgestone
IS?
Insurance, but I don't know where
That
that
just
comes
stands for
from.
insurance, right?
Yeah,
Ledgestone's the L, and then IS is the insurance
Yeah.
part. I don't know.
It's always been weird, honestly, and I've been coming to this event for like 8 or 10 years. So, yeah.
Someone asked about the Invictus. I want to answer that one.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, the Invictus is one of my new signature discs as well that just got released just recently. So that one is fair game to talk about, and then it's
Okay.
in the stores, in the shops, I believe.
Okay, I don't have any at my house yet. Can you
Not
send
yet?
some?
Okay, yeah, we can
Go to Innova and pack a box and send it up to my house.
Right on, I'll fly there and do that for
Okay,
you.
thank you.
But yeah, the Invictus is like a speed 10 fairway driver. I was throwing a lot at the preserve. I throw it. It's a good disc for both sidearm and backhand. Most discs that I throw, I really like to throw them both ways. So that's super important to me. But it's a speed 10. It's the distance disc that I use right between a Firebird and a Destroyer. So like some shots that may just be out of range for a Firebird, or like, I don't want to throw a Destroyer, but I don't want to throw a Firebird type thing. Then I'll reach for the Invictus. And it's, for me, it goes like 350 to 400 feet. And it's that perfect range there that I need.
They don't already make. Have you heard of this thing called a Wraith? Have you thought about one of those?
It's kind of like that, but it's not as glidey. It's like and Wraiths. It's like a mix between glide and Wraith. Glade.
The Glade.
Oh my gosh,
with a glide of 0.79. The Glade.
That's hilarious. Oh, it's funny. But yeah, so it's more of like an overstable type of disc. I would say it's like a Firebird, but
like a faster Firebird.
Exactly. And it's not super overstable like a Max to where it's like going to meat hook. It still has a flight before it has some stability. So that's what I enjoy about it. And it's just it feels good in the hand. It's not like a super wide rim, but it's not a really small rim either. It's just kind of like a medium rim feeling disc. I guess something similar to a Wraith, to where you can throw it on those tight wooded shots and not feel like you're throwing a big wide rim driver.
What does your boy Yuli and his Raptor have to say about it? How would they compare?
I guess maybe I haven't thrown the Raptor, but from what people are saying, I think the Raptor is more of like a Firebird type disc. So it would be like a faster type of disc than that.
All right. No one pays me on this podcast, just so you know. So if you think I get bribed easily, well, outside of Casey Aviars, I don't. All right. We'll read a few more here. You guys talking about Bryant Lake? That's over in Minnesota. Yeah, so much great golf over there in Minnesota for sure. Why did the Starfire go out of production? I love them. They were so similar to a Wraith, but yet seemingly not nearly as popular. Did you threw Starfires? No.
Why'd you
I
say
don't
that?
know. I don't know. Because
Nice
you're from
try, though.
Ohio and
Yeah,
Val used to throw
that's true.
Starfires. So I just assumed you threw Starfires.
That's a good assumption.
A good pull.
Yeah, it was. No, I think honestly why it just lost trendiness, I guess. Like some discs, just the trends kind of died on it and nobody really throws it anymore. I think ever since Val retired, nobody throws it.
It's I mean, and it's funny because of course Innova makes a ton of molds. Discraft has made a ton of molds. There's molds that have just fallen by the wayside, whether it was marketing or just not the right people throwing them, or a combination of those things. And it's always funny to me when a disc doesn't hit or it's not popular. Clearly research and development went into it, but it could have been the name. There's so many reasons why a disc doesn't hit. And it's funny, sometimes even certain discs may just get renamed and rebranded and actually become way more popular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think.
Any discs like that?
No, I never heard about that. I didn't know about that. Okay. Never know that was a thing, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Hopefully, you guys are supportive of it.
The SL was popular, is what I saw that ran right by. Let me see what else I can find. Starfire was Valerie Jenkins' signature. It was, but not until the very end, actually, as she was kind of making her exit from Team Innova. Another question, 5 words or less. Can you give me advice on how to capitalize on my C2X putts? Are you adding loft or are you putting through the basket?
Use more legs. I think that's super important. Use your legs and get your leverage from your lower body. Everyone thinks it's get your wrist, get more spin, get this. Use your leverage from your lower body and obviously all that upper body stuff, like I said, with your wrist, but leverage your legs to get power.
That makes perfect sense. And you think of someone like yourself or another long range putter in a Kevin Jones. I mean, he's all legs. It feels
Exactly.
like so. That
All
makes
long
sense.
putters are doing that.
Yep.
That's the cool thing to do. Do it.
Yeah, do it. Ricky says do it. Spin for long putts is key. I think being a spin putter, but like you said, and I don't know if this was Simon that said it once, like you don't just go out to a field one day and you're like, oh, I'm going to put more spin on my disc.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like, you can't just do that.
No,
right?
It's not. Yeah, it's not how it works. It sounds like that's what people think. Oh, I need to put more spin on the longer putts. We should have just the same amount of spin. You're just doing you're throwing a little harder, or you're aiming a little different. Like you're not just like putting a 40-footer and a 50-footer with more spin or not. You're just changing a little bit of how you release it for the most part.
Yeah, this guy knows. Somebody says, haven't watched those. I'll check out Dave. Hey, Rick, what's your favorite snack while playing?
I love nuts and seeds like almonds and stuff like that, walnuts, and then I eat a lot of like grass-fed beef jerky type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Healthy stuff.
Yep. What are your favorite discs for long tunnel shots in the woods?
T-Bird 3. I love a good old-fashioned beat-up T-Bird 3 and get those nice hyzer flip tunnels and land flat without too much action on the ground.
What time do you go to sleep?
Right about now. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I'm joking. I don't know. I'm not like a night owl, but I'm not like a early bird either. Probably like 11:30, 12:30, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say that's about medium, right? Not super
yeah,
early,
yeah,
not super
yeah.
late.
Yep. Nope. I think that seems, especially for like your age range.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It all varies. Yeah.
You're never playing early morning rounds.
Yeah, exactly. So I
for
can sleep
instance,
in.
so if you need to sleep in,
Yeah.
you're certainly able to do that. If you could steal a disc from another manufacturer and make it Innova, what would you steal? Or even the flight characteristics of any given disc. Is there anything that you feel envious of out there? Or you see maybe a friend like a Yuli, you see him throw it, and you're like, man, I do really like that. That's a great disc.
Take some thought. It'll take me a minute to really think about that. I can't answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a really tough one. I think I'd have to, if you gave me like 5 or 10 minutes, I'd think of it. But right now, I'm happy with my bag, and this is not me just saying I love all
towing
Innova
the company line.
Yeah, it's not that. It's literally like, I'm sure I could find one if I thought about it, for 5 or 10 minutes, but we don't have that time.
All right. Carney says, I'll answer this for you. Did you ever live in Oregon? No.
Nope. Did not.
Arizona, Ohio, North Carolina?
Yep. South Carolina. Yeah.
Okay. I'm creepy.
You're just smart. That's all.
It says you had a grass-fed ribeye, something or other. I don't know if I saw it. Let me see if I can go back to that one. You had a grass-fed ribeye from my meat department at Fresh Time during the Preserve Championship. Did you like it? Tony
Oh, really? Nice, dude. I thought he was giving me a weird look when I was getting it's fun. I know he's telling this disc golf.
He's trying to help with your meat or something.
Yeah.
Like this
It's
is
not like that.
No, I wasn't saying that. I'm just saying he's like, hey, Rick, you're gonna like this slab.
Yeah, you're gonna like this cut of meat, like ribeye. Yeah.
Okay.
No, thanks for the clarification. It was great. Thanks for the recommendation. Thanks for showing me the yummy steaks. I love me a good ribeye, and it led me to a victory, so I like it even more.
Yeah. Okay. Of course.
Yeah.
Speaking of victories, you really contemplated both figuratively and literally about bobbling that bear around. That was close.
It was really close. I did drop it at the very end to confirm,
yes.
but I gracefully dropped it. It wasn't like
it wasn't a body slam. Yeah, it wasn't a bear slam.
I started losing control. I started losing control like once I started coming down with it, and then it fell. It wasn't like it fell from the top.
No.
And it was heavy, but it wasn't. It was more of like the balancing that was tough because it was so tall. It was like, I don't know, 3 feet tall or something. Yeah. It was a tall trophy. And so that was the hardest thing when I held it above my head, is to like keep the balance on it. So I did fall. It did fall, but it didn't break. Nothing happened. I know Kale's eyes popped out of his head when he saw that trophy like wiggling.
I watched your contemplation. Like, should I lift it? Should I not? Should I lift it? Should I drop it? Should I not? Like, you went through the whole range there, but good thing you didn't break it. Pretty incredible trophy, of course, that will live on, and your name's on it now.
That's super cool.
Yeah, which is awesome. All right.
One more.
All right. We got a couple of let's see if I can scroll down here. Oh, like the Down East Players Cup trophy? Is that another? You dropping trophies?
I don't think don't start a bad trend. I don't think I dropped that. I don't remember dropping it. Show me a picture or it didn't happen.
All right. What shoes do you play in?
I play with Nike Pegasus. What can we read here? I don't know.
Yeah,
Nike
okay.
Pegasus, Nike React.
And have you seen the commercial? I mean, Nike isn't paying any of us, so I'll ask. Have you seen the commercial, the Kickstarter for the idiosyncrasies?
I did. Those look cool.
Is that something, if they reached out, you'd talk to them
I think
about
I
it?
would. I think I totally would. I think that they're supportive of the sport. They see what kind of like reinforcements of a shoe that needs reinforcement for the disc golf throw and what gets dragged, what parts blow out in the shoe. So I think it's awesome. I think they're really putting all the right steps into making a great shoe.
Right steps.
The right steps. Look at you, Kickstarter. Right steps. Look at us. We need to be spokespersons for the company.
I'm not trying to take your job, Ari, but I do think I'll be interested to see which of our top pros, and not that they have to be worn by our top pros, but I'll be interested to see as those shoes develop, who's throwing style. I mean, because we see Heimberg blowing out shoes what feels like every week.
It really does.
I mean, right?
He throws very, very hard, so those shoes take a lot of torque. But yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's about. Carney, do they take the bear? No, the bear stays there. It's it's a trophy that just stays with them. I was gonna say Surly not. That's the local brewery, but I couldn't spit it out. Anyway, all right, guys, we're gonna close things out. Johnny V, of course, was in the air tonight, and that's not a Phil Collins reference, but he was.
Dang, your puns are on point.
He was in the air tonight, but super glad that we could be here. I want to thank again the Pro Tour and everyone that had anything to do with the ESPN2. Of course, Ricky, who was in it, but just the huge effort. I had people reaching out and saying, "Oh, did you edit this, or did you do that, or did you pick the music?" I didn't do any of that. I just sat there and talked with Philo and with Elaine. And the fact that Joe Canali and the rest of the tour and Johnny V and Gary and Mo, and then all of our camera crews and Nate Doss, who was out in the field, and Val, like my job, so to speak, I feel like was easy in that whole thing. But to have any tie to the ESPN2 broadcast and how cool all of that was incredible. And I was kind of thinking of the words yesterday. It was a milestone that I never even thought about achieving.
For sure. I think don't let Terry downplay this fact, but he says a lot of the right stuff at the right time. So he's just talking to himself, but to situationally, when you're talking about the course and all the different variables, you got to say the right thing at the right time if you're a commentator, and him and Philo did a great job of that. So,
well, I appreciate that. No, seriously,
I'll do that for you.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. We have arguments every week about people that really get worked up about the commentary by anyone. I mean, literally every single player or person we have on commentary is either liked or disliked in some regard. And, as long as I don't say anything terrible, I'm going to keep grinding at it. I really certainly enjoy it. So we're going to close it out. It won't be quite as fancy as normal, but of course, we invite you to tune in all week long. Disc Golf Network, going to bring you as much of the coverage as we possibly can. I'm warning you now. I think there's going to be some legitimate coverage challenges. That the new Northwood Black course kind of digs even deeper into the woods. I think they're going to be long, challenging rounds. Ricky kind of already talked about the actual difficulty to them, and we've always just struggled with signal out there. So I want you guys to kind of be aware of that now. And I know the crew, Sam and the entire crew, will fight through it as best as they can. But that's something to be cognizant of going into it. So we're going to close it out. For Ricky Wysocki, your champion at the Preserve, I want to thank Nate Heinold for letting us hang out here. Super excited to be working here at the event throughout the entire week. This has been podcast number 362. We'll join you again next week when we probably bring you the champion from the Ledgestone Insurance Open. Hopefully I know this guy wants to cash that sizable check, but hopefully we'll see you guys next Tuesday night. Again, for Ricky, Terry, the disc golf guy, we'll see you next week when you step inside the Smash Box.
Raptors out. Thanks, y'all.